what you're paying for it and what someone will sell it for. Like, an appraiser is just another guy who, in my opinion, doesn't actually have that much command of the market. He doesn't know what's pending. He just kind of shows up, looks at bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage, and then says, I think it's worth this. And
I think it's more of a baseline than anything. I agree with what you mean. I think value is better for the person's time.
Yeah, what it is, ultimately, it says this is how much the property's worth, this is how much a bank will lend you. But if you want to pay more for it, you then put more on top.
Yeah.
So it's just the baseline of how it be. But then that then has the surveys up front. It has all the other information that somebody needs all up front and done. It's 30 days, the same.
Is there a way that you could, from a buyer perspective, push forward an escrow deposit, push that process upward?
Cash is king.
There's companies that do it. So you've got like Gazelle, so it's almost an insurance.
Yeah.
So if you were to pull out or you don't complete within a certain amount of days, you then owe the vendor this amount of money. But as an agent, you're still out of pocket.
Doesn't KW have that? Gazelle supply it. I don't think it's a KW product over here.
No, it's not. No, it's
in the go-to group.
the go-to. Yes, there's a reservation agreement.
That's
So same as when you're buying a new home. The day you say yes, I'll pay this much money for it, I want it, you put down 10% deposit. You don't complete in time. You pull it out, you lose it.
That's the same thing.
That should be on everything.
Yeah.
But that's why surveys are better to have up front, searches to have up front.
Absolutely.
But there's nothing stopping an agent doing that.
I think also there's a mindset with, we all like a bargain, a deal, don't we?
Yeah.
If you go out and see someone who's selling their home and say, look, we can offer this product by this company who get sales pictures that they save time with the conveyancing by actually, is it 30 days, I think they say. But it's going to cost you. People don't want to do it, do they? Or very rarely. So some people do take
Does that then come
and I think
down
it's that mindset.
Does that then come down to the different percentages of commission? Could you then, like it's 2.5%, but this is then included, or it's the other
So if
thing?
you could leverage buyers, if you had a pipeline of buyers and a pool of buyers that you could push into the listing. So like that would be my value. That would be my pitch to sellers. All right, I have 500 buyers. I'll get my buyer to buy this insurance, this escrow insurance or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the key, you're buying peace of mind. If I can convince not just someone to pay more, but someone to actually put money up front, then we can then go search for your next property. And that's where the buyer agency, I guess, then might funnel into that.
Buyer agency is a thing. It's just a very, very small percentage.
It's quite a niche thing. It's more, I'm going to argue, high net worth and sort of like sports star celebrity.
But it seems ludicrous. If I was going to sell my biggest asset, I would use someone. If I was then going to go buy another asset, I would want the advice.
I think it's the language, thought process, and how people see it. So I think it's more of a buyer's representation. Like I'm not going to help you find a property, but I'm here to help you through that journey. So first house you're buying, sitting down doing paperwork. Same when you're selling your house, right? The solicitors will send the vendor and the buyer a load of gobbledygook jargon paperwork that they're like, what is this? Because you can sit down and go through it with them. So it's almost how do you help people along that journey?
But if you're getting 1.25 and you want 2, you could offer a service. I'll list your house at 1.25. I'll advise which client we should take, which offer, yada, yada, yada. Once we're under contract, we'll go search for your next property, which I will help you. And that will cost you 0.75, but we'll sign a listing agreement at 2%. It's all taken out of the commission of the sale of your home, but I'll help you on both ends. That would be, I guess, how you would market that product.
Yeah.
It's, I'm going to sell first to you, and then I'm going to shift it over. Because you could parse things out like what we're talking about doing with the new lawsuit, where it's like, to call me, it costs X amount, charge like attorneys. Call me, show a house is $100, yada, 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 right? Because then you're saving time. But that's kind of a shitty service. I don't know how well that's going to work. But if you can bunch that into the listing agreement and say, hey, look, the entire process of sell and buy is handled by me, I'll be able to strategize. That's probably the best way. And it's not an additional fee coming out of the sale.
It's all in one. Yeah. We were speaking about last week.
Yeah.
About the no buyer is protected. They're not represented in any way. It's almost the same as tenants, right? Tenants, you just put them in a property, you never speak to them again. It's just like that. That's how the norm. That's how it is normal.
Yeah.
Not with how we do business, but that's the normal thing. And I think trying to change a multi-billion-dollar industry, pound, whatever. I'm saying dollar, industry in the UK. It takes one step at a time. But we speak about fees all the time, don't we? It's like, look, how do we get out there in front of people that are saying, you do your own viewings, Mr. Vendor, I'll charge you 0.5%. £2,000. You have to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those a month if you want to try and grow a business. But having that 2%, I truly believe agents are worth 2% if they put the work in.
But we've had this conversation a few times. I'm quite proud to say I've obviously stirred up the hornet's nest slightly in my area, because the big corporates over the last 12 months have been quite tough. And I've gone into viewings, and I've spoken to you a few times about this. And they are normally, London's favourite was one of them, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Allegedly. They're normally about 1.75. They went as low as 1% because I was going for a property with them. I went to this bar and I was told there was 4 people coming. I was told who they were, and all of them undercut me, which they don't normally do. So the other one that's big in my area is 1.5, and they went to 0.75.
Wow. But offering the same service they normally would.
Yeah, well, I saw quality of it. They got the listing, and I was fuming. And one of them went overvalued to get business as well, and it still hasn't sold. And we're 5 months in now. So for me, I'm hovering around, and I go back and go, look, if you want to sell, there's your motivation. This is why I'm worth this. Yeah, because you're not going to get a load of BS from me. Not always right. I've walked away from things so I can achieve what I set out to do with the value before. But I think that's half the problem in this. The high street mentality is just all about numbers. They're told to go and get a listing. They put a board up, they get a little bit of commission. They actually list it on the portals, they get a little bit of commission. They don't even have to sell it to get a little bit of money.
But those people will always wash out. Anytime you negotiate on price on any product, people wash out, because there's always someone that will do it for cheaper.
Yeah.
Like because I have that all the time. Listen, this guy's going to take it for 1%. I said, okay, what's his business model, right? How many listings at 1% does that guy need to take to make the amount of money, that he wants to make? 200? I'm like, do you really think you're going to get the same service at 200? Is he going to call you? Is he going to assist you? No, he's going to tell you whatever price you want to hear. He's then going to work you down in price because he just wants to secure the listing and then get it for anything. That's not a service. You want to work upwards. I'll be frank with you. That's always how I shift that. I'm like, I do not cut my commission. But those people will wash out. Because right now the market's hot, but if the market flips and you actually have to sell a home, right? Because right now you can probably list a cardboard box and sell it, right?
Well, right now it's going into that time. So the service and the more they do, even if you look at those types of the majority of agents out there at the moment, targeted on listing properties, targeted on reducing properties, and they get paid to list and paid to reduce. There's a set commission.
They get paid to reduce the price?
They will have, the company I used to work for, I know other companies that do it, will have a hot Friday. How many properties can we get reduced this Friday?
No, allegedly it's because they've overvalued it. So the 6-week plan is they're going to have to reduce it anyway.
But
I don't have facts on that, but I know it happens.
if I'm paid to list properties, I'm going to list properties no matter what.
Yeah. You're going to come out and tell me what I want to hear. So
with now market becoming tougher, less money in the market, that will then shift. They'll have to work harder to get what they do, but they don't have the skill set to be able to do that. So it's then that you're saying will wash through. So it's going to take time for that to come into effect. But I know some agencies have already started it.
Here's a question. Can you undervalue a property? Because in our market, you can't. No. This is the conversation I have with listings all the time. Oh, he's going to get me, he said my house is worth $700. I think it's worth $650. It's like, okay, well, let's take that, right? Because people think if there's that anchor, right? Anchor bias. If you set here, you can work upwards. I think that's the dumbest way of thinking, right? You can't, if I sent this to an eBay auction, we could sell it for the value of the home. But it's all about eyeballs. So when we're in our listing presentations, what we say, imagine the amount of time someone spends on Zillow scrolling through a township. Looking at your listing is about 1 second that they'll look at.
Yeah.
The key is if they click on the listing, this is where photos and all that come in. They click on the listing, their likelihood of seeing that property increases 30 times. How long do they spend on the actual page? Most people spend on that actual page about 7 seconds flipping through the photos. How can you entice them in that 7 seconds? If they click through and like the first few photos, their average time on that listing is now 3 minutes. If you can get them to the 3 minute mark, the likelihood they see it is like 30, 40 times. And if they walk in the front door, the likelihood they're going to offer. So it's like, how can I get all of these buyers just through the front door and then do an open house and then just, that's.
I think it comes down to again, scripts and language. That's what everything comes down to mostly. Because if you take someone on a journey, how they can actually, this is where we start. Every story, beginning, middle, and end. The end result is to get someone through the door and to buy the property, right, or rent the property, either way. But how do you take them on that journey? But I think it's the majority of people will be list it, photos, get it on. And I think what we do, John's bringing that stuff now, and how you can stand out and be different. Because it's, like, to be different in the industry we're in the UK, easy.
And so that's what I brought that. That was a no-brainer for me. So when I go to a listing appointment, what you just explained is stats like 99% of people go online first for their property search. They don't go to shops anymore. So the photography is so important for starters. And so I will go out, and I've got a guy who I'm very fussy who I use with, and he does great photos for me. So I'll sit down and I'll show you these, and I'll say, look, you see the attention. There's a couple of bad ones in there on purpose as well, but there's some CGI in there where I've dressed properties that are empty.
Stage them.
Virtual staging.
Yeah. So that one at the bottom is a poor example to show, because that's off the internet. And that's what I'm saying, people do that.
Mm-hmm. But then that's when it comes into videography, is everything else that goes with it.
Exactly.
Just to say,
so that's just a shout out. I love the detail on that photo, you see. Yeah. And if you're creating that in, you've got a luxury apartment or something like that, you're selling it.
You think about it, when someone walks into a house, I think within the first 5 seconds, they mostly know whether or not they like it. It's a feeling. Mm-hmm. And there's a guy named Simon Sinek. When I worked in advertising, he would talk about this, right? So part of the brain that controls language, controls feeling and emotion and decision-making doesn't have any propensity for language. So that's your why. So you need to get people to understand why. And when you're selling a house, it's like, it's not the features. People be like, oh, I want a 4-bed, 2.5 bath in this neighborhood. And I'm like, no, you don't. You're going to walk into a 3-bed in a neighborhood you never considered, on a style of home you never considered, but love the flow of it. See your kids playing in the swing set outside, yada, yada, yada. That is what is going to drive you to make a buying decision. But how can I get you to start looking in that neighborhood that you never, like, that sort of thing.
But that then comes down to the initial trust of that person with you as an agent. So, look, you trust me. Let me show you one more. But again, it's how property smells, how it feels, how it's cozy, if it's warm, if it's cold. There's all the different aspects that go with it as well. Cellar.
Yes, right.
Put some bread in the oven to start with, cookies. It's like, I remember the first time I think someone told me to just go over an air freshener and spray it around door frames with something that's quite sweet. So because someone go through a door frame, you get that waft, and so you go into that room, it's like it feels more warming. But if you can create an emotional attachment, it's easier. So the first thing that after you, this could be your new home.
But what I'll do as well is I'll never show one property. So if I have, and it's different here because they have to be your listings.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I go out on a showing, I always book two. Because the time I can connect with someone is a little bit longer. Plus, I'll be at the first showing. Hey, this house doesn't work. I can just.
And they're already there anyway, so it's just
at that point, and then you've built that. Yeah, what are they gonna say? No. Sometimes I have to go pick my kids up, but like they want to see the same thing, and they don't know what they don't know.
You set up in order as well.
What do you mean?
In terms of how you're saying about down speaking a certain property to up it for the next one, preparing them in their emotion and thinking.
I'll show the house that they want to see first if they want to see it, but if in general, I will set things up for the house that I know that they are going to like, but they don't want to see it yet. And I'll show them the shitty ones. So I'll show them the poor ones first.
It's got a shit sandwich.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that all comes down to the questions you ask them right at the beginning.
Yes, that's
to get to know them, right?
Correct.
Rather than what's your name? How many bedrooms?
I'll send you my Zillow calls. Those are 30-minute phone calls, 35-minute, hour-long phone calls. There's some random buyer. Yeah, so like this is what we realized on our team meeting with talent issue. Because if my team answers, it'll be like, what time do you want to see it?
Yeah.
2 minutes. There's no relationship. I'll be like, Arun, why would you want to see this house? Where are you looking? Oh, I want to see in this area. What's your budget? $650. Arun, you're not going to be able to get anything for $650 at that.
Why?
I was like,
Why do you want that?
yeah, what you want is what everyone wants.
Yeah.
How are you going to set yourself apart? You consider this township? No. Well, the two things that drive value in New Jersey are school districts and access to communication lines. This satisfies both of those. Most of my buyers that are shifted out of here go to here. I think there's an upward lift in terms of appreciation in this neighborhood. Why would you overpay? That's sort of like, and there's just long strategy calls. And then by that point, you meet the client and it's already warm. Like you've gone and shown them a property and it's easy. For this country, I mean, I would have a pool of buyers. It's not about what you have now, and a lot of those will fizzle out and go buy other properties, of course. But like, if I'm spending all my time procuring listings, I would also spend a decent amount of time procuring buyers. Number one, buyers will have friends that are going to sell, right? Oh, you're so great. My friend needs to sell a house. Okay. But number two, I've now controlled both ends of the market. I could walk into a listing presentation just like mine. 5,500 people in my CRM. I'd walk into a listing presentation. Purple Bricks doesn't talk to anyone. They just talk to listing agents and they don't even show them the house. How the hell are they going to convince anyone to buy this house? I'm chatting to buyers all the time and strategizing with them. I'll pass your house over as an off-market deal to them. If we can generate a little bit of interest, now we've got a bidding war, bam. Even if it's not them that buys it, we've now generated that uplift in your property. Like that would be the pitch that I would make. And it's basic. Take a basic CRM that you guys have.
It's just relationships, isn't it? That's the main thing. But again, it's spending as much time as with your buyers, as your vendors, as your friends, as your friends, cousins, hamster, whatever it is. It's having those conversations consistently all the time with everybody.
I've always encountered some people, they don't have the time or want to give the time for those long initial first conversations.
When's a good time?
Yeah, obviously that's the best question to ask. But I'm curious, when you take those 30-minute phone calls, when they initially call, is that because they're already aware that you might be the potential agent, so they're willing to spend that time with you?
Yeah, they mostly just want to see the property. I actually never ask people when a good time is because I always bullshit you. I call people and cold call them and I just launch. I just launch. Oh, I have to. Yeah, have you considered? Because they're trying to get you off the phone. If something's important enough to you, like if you were selling your house and you were at work, you'd answer the phone. Like people have the time if it's important. So if you're providing the value that they think they want, they'll stay on the phone. I never ask when a good time is. I just launch. And when it's your actual client,
Yeah.
Hey Tim, I'll call you in 5.
So with that pen, you want to see Wolf of Wall Street?
Oh, the whole concept of it is not about the pen itself, it's about why you need it.
Exactly.
But yeah, everything then comes down to supply and demand, right? If someone wants to move, they're going to have a conversation. But the thing is, the easiest thing in our industry is when I say you phone up to, you speak to someone who calls you up about your listing and they go, yeah, I'd love to come see this one. Sounds like you've had a hard day.
Mm-hmm.
How many agents you've spoken to? Oh, you're like the 10th. Cool. So what have you heard so far? How many bedrooms? What's your name? What's your interest? Cool. Let's take that off. We'll come back to that later. So what is it? Why are you looking for that? What makes that important? Where do you want to be? What time frame? There's all these other questions just to get to know people because they've had such a crap time trying to find a property for the past week, 2 weeks, year, whatever it is, 10 minutes.
I'll never forget the time you told me the best way to answer the question. To ask the question, answer it 3 times in different ways. That's how you get the true answer.
3 deep, yeah.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. I feel like that's a very useful.
It's the same why kids say why all the time. Not because they want to annoy you. It is bloody annoying. It's because they want the truth. They want to understand something really in such a way, and you can't understand someone with one question.
I will push the hell out of clients because clients believe and feel something and think they know more. And you can't argue against an emotion, right? You feel some way. How the hell am I supposed to argue against that? So I always make them hold stances, and it's just by asking why. Hey, I want to buy only in West Windsor. Why is that? Schools are good. Okay, what makes a good school? Curriculum? No, it's how many kids go to a college in that area. Oh, okay, perfect. So did you know that Robbinsville also sends the same amount of kids to Princeton that West Windsor did? No, I didn't know that. Okay, perfect. So would you be open to Robbinsville? Well, I guess if the schools are good there. Fantastic. Like you're just getting them to hold a position because they have this concept.
I know what I want.
Exactly. And you just get them the whole, seriously, my pick's exhausting, but like my day is just basically arguing with people on the phone. But once you convert, they trust what you say and you've gone that level of depth, and then they send you, like, it's just
helping them self-discover what they actually want.
Yeah, that happens a lot, to be fair. When they realise that, it's kind of maybe inspiring.
It's pretty
Helps
right?
keep on going. To be fair.
That's what I mean about, look, you can stand out so easy. With the competition we currently have, so it's how are you louder? What do we do? We'll come on to another point another time. It's just about the value proposition. What is it that people think you are? What you do? Because if you go to a party, you say I'm a estate agent. What do people do?
Like Walden turn away.
Like parking attendant or a bailiff. So it's like my main mission, that you guys know this well, is how do we change the concept of what we're actually doing so we become professional? And it's like you've got your qualification, you need to be licensed in the US. We don't. It's like anybody can sell a property.
I think it's a big difference as well. Just because, I don't know, for most people, they tend to have the concept of qualification and brings a certain standard of person with it. I think for the UK,
Yeah. Well, again, because I know you call it the American model is fairly new over here. And Keller's been here 9-10 years now, but okay. Either way, it's a new concept, and in the tech, it was just one of those the comments I was talking to someone. I called up about their property, been on the market X amount, seeing how I could help them, and they said, "Oh yeah, no, I've heard of you, but you're just one guy. You work out your bedroom, don't you?" I went, and it was during COVID. I went, "No, not just bedroom. Sometimes we're in the kitchen."
Yeah.
I go there. And then I had to explain, actually, no, we're a global company with 200,000 agents, 54 countries, blah blah blah, and we just work differently, which I think is the future, because at the end of the day, it's about building relationships, and don't forget, you don't pay me anything until I do my job. And because I'm self-employed and commission only, I don't do my job right, I'm going to be a very poor man very quick. And it's funny how many people I won over in my area slightly with that, and people, I think the proof's in the pudding, because I haven't been a BS, I haven't done, silly things. Somehow I've still kept my area happy. It's now I'm getting people just calling me out of the blue, which is lovely, which is what you want. You want that word of mouth. And it's taken me 4 years now. I think.
That's
4 years.
It's the beauty of sales. It's snowball, to your point.
Yeah.
You've built that connection, and now people will just start.
It's about being consistent as well.
Yeah.
But that's what I was going to ask you. For you guys, it's kind of, that's the way it is. But over here, people still want to go and walk in, don't they, to a shop.
Saturdays.
They think that they do. And the
mindset is.
The mindset of it, yeah. They're on the high street, that means they're there. So you can see them.
It just seems ludicrous, though, because like a good salesperson comes to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could work out of anywhere. You could work out of, from your bedroom. But if I'm coming to you and thinking about you rather than you coming to me to find something, like it's just like
lazy.
Again, yeah, you shouldn't have to be chasing your agent to do their job. They should be, regardless of where they are, finding you things. I think the value prop over here, especially, I think is off market. I don't know if it's legal to talk about in the UK, but hey, Mary is going to sell her house down the road. I think that house makes more sense for you.
That happens a lot, especially in the prime market, the super prime.
It can happen anywhere.
Mr. Daggers, Tony Daggers. I mention him because he's both sides. He used to be like Frank, but he set up on his own DDRE. And he does it like I call them pocket listings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just a case of it's in my pocket. I can talk about it because I've been assigned about it, but they don't want it for whatever reason on the portals. They don't really want that big publicity.
But that only then works if you're speaking to your buyers in such a depth all the time.
Well, I was going to say also depending on the agent, because you need to have that database,
The connections.
for those type of people.
But that's what we do. So like we spend our Mondays calling other agents. Now, granted, I can sell those listings, but I call other agents and I say, what do you have coming on the market? Future, right? And then I create something called the Grapevine, which is a thing I created on Canva. and I send it out. This is what's coming on. This is what it looks like. And buyers now feel in the know. Everyone wants something that is secret, off market. Even if it's not for them, people feel in the know.
Or they'll tell someone else.
Exactly.
You've lost me a little bit there because obviously talking off market, and you said you create something called the Grapevine on Canva.
It's just an email.
Canva's a design portal.
Oh no, I use that, but I mean, so
Just an email that goes
you
to
send it out to your clients.
Correct.
All right.
I send it through my CRM. So I heard it through the Grapevine, that's sort of play on words. But like I send it to clients. Oftentimes there's no pictures of the outside. I don't even have the proper address. But it's just that information.
the location. This is what's
And how I pitch it to buyers is like, hey, look, the reason this isn't, even if we don't buy that house, it stops you from buying another house. Like, it's like, have you ever bought something online and you paid $50 for this, you really wanted something that's slightly different, but that was all that was available. And then right after you bought it, the one you wanted came on. It's like, hey, I can help you avoid that decision. Even if I can't get you in early, even if we don't, at least you know. It's a game of information, a game of knowledge. I'm filling in those gaps. You can now make those decisions. I have to shoot.
I'm just about to say that to you, actually.
That's what I thought.
And by the way, I was making notes, not texting.
No, you're fine.